My own son looked me dead in the eye and said, "Make my wife your business partner, or I'm done being your son." The entire private dining room went dead silent. Forks stopped mid-air. My partners, my lawyers, investors who had known me for 20 years, they all stared at me. My son Jason stood there, drunk on cheap champagne and expensive confidence. He slid a contract across the table at me. Next to him sat Vanessa Cole. Perfect dress, perfect smile. The smile of someone who thought she had already won. She thought I was just a tired old man who would sign anything to keep the peace. Jason pounded the table. He called me a dinosaur, a relic holding his future hostage. He forgot who poured the first foundation of this company with his own hands. The first logo was sketched on the back of my work truck. I stared at him. It hurt worse than any injury I ever took on a job site. I didn't sign. I buttoned my jacket, looked at Vanessa once, and walked out. My shoes on that marble floor were the only sound left. Welcome to Dad's comeback. My name is Frank, and this is how my son and his new wife tried to steal my life's work, and how I gave them exactly what they asked for. Stay till the end and comment where you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. I drove home alone that night. It was 3 a.m. when I unlocked my old office. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat in my old leather chair. This building smells like sawdust and blueprints. Jason forgot that. He sees 12 stories of glass and steel and thinks it appeared overnight. He never smelled the wet concrete at 5 a.m. in July. He never spent a winter on scaffolding in freezing wind because a weld had to be checked personally. I ran my hand over my desk. There's still a burn mark from a cutting torch from 19 years ago. Back then, I had nothing. Just a beat-up Ford, a toolbox, and my late wife, Linda. She packed us sandwiches and stayed up with me redrawing plans until 2 a.m. She always said, "Frank, if the foundation is strong, the house will survive any storm." When Jason was born, I swore I would build him a future so he would never have to struggle like we did. But Linda is gone now. And the little boy who used to wear my hard hat that was too big for his head, he just tried to trade everything we built for a woman he met 5 months ago. He thought he was being a man protecting his future. He had no idea he was being used. I knew something was wrong the day Vanessa walked into our lives. She was perfect. Too perfect. Always soft-spoken. Always talking about legacy and vision. Jason was blinded by her. But I saw the details. How her eyes lingered on the paintings in my house. How she asked very specific questions about who controlled which project. How she asked about our profit margins over dinner like it was small talk. My foreman told me later what I didn't see. Every night, she whispered to Jason. She told him I was old-fashioned, that my methods were killing the company's growth, that the company needed young blood, and that young blood was her. Slowly, Jason started to change. Every meeting became a fight. Every safety check I demanded, he called controlling. She had done a brilliant job. She turned me into the villain in my own family story, and she became his savior. That dinner ultimatum wasn't his idea. It was hers. And it worked. He broke his father's heart to prove his love for her. But Vanessa made one fatal mistake. She thought a builder doesn't inspect the ground before he builds. I opened my desk drawer and took out an old burner phone. I called a number I hadn't called in 3 years. "Tom, it's Frank. I need a full background check. Her name is Vanessa Cole. I need to know everything." What Tom sent me 24 hours later made my blood run cold. Vanessa Cole wasn't a business consultant. She was a professional. Her last two fiancés were both contractors, one in Texas, one in Florida. Both mid-sized, both successful. Both bankrupt within a year of getting involved with her. The pattern was identical. Get close, get equity, force a cash out, disappear. And right now, Vanessa was drowning. $280,000 in gambling debt, casino markers. Private collectors were calling her family. She didn't love my son. She needed a bank. And my company was the biggest bank she had ever seen. I showed the file to my assistant, Carol. She said, "Frank, we need to show Jason this right now." I shook my head. If I show him this now, he'll say I forged it. He's too deep. Love makes a man deaf. I needed her mask to fall off in front of him, not just me. So I made a decision that scared even me. I was going to pretend to surrender. I met my two oldest friends at our usual diner behind the lumber yard. Not a fancy restaurant. Ben, my concrete guy, and Luis, my steel supplier. They've been with me since we worked out of a double-wide trailer. I slid a folder across the table. Incorporation papers for a new company. Frank Miller Solutions. I need you to move all our priority contracts to this company, I said. And I need you to cancel the net 90 payment terms you give my old company. Ben didn't even read it. He said, "Frank, I supply you, not a building, not a logo. If you're out, I'm out." Luis said the same. "Without your personal guarantee on the engineering, I'm not sending one beam to that kid." See, Jason thought he owned relationships because he owned a business card. He didn't. Trust isn't transferable. Over the next 48 hours, I quietly called my 3 biggest developers. I never badmouthed my son. I just said, "I'm stepping down as chief engineer at Miller Construction. My personal guarantee on all structural work is withdrawn." They understood immediately. They trusted my hands, not Jason's PowerPoints. The shell was almost empty. Now I just had to let them buy it. The boardroom was bright, too bright. Jason sat at the head of my table, in my chair. Vanessa sat next to him in a designer suit, trying to hide how hungry she was. His lawyer pushed the papers to me. One signature and I would transfer 50% of the company, full operational control, and give Vanessa a partner seat. I picked up the pen. I looked right at Vanessa. For a second, she smiled. Pure triumph. I signed. But then I flipped to Exhibit C, the last page. The personal liability rider. "Standard procedure," I said calmly. "If you want 50% ownership and a board seat, you have to sign as a personal guarantor for all existing corporate debt. Banks require it when ownership changes." Jason jumped in, eager to prove his love. "Of course she'll sign. We're family. We're all in this together." Vanessa hesitated. Just for a second, I saw fear. But then greed took over. She thought she was getting a multi-million-dollar company. A little debt clause looked small compared to that. And her creditors were getting louder every day. She signed. I stood up, buttoned my jacket, and said, "Congratulations. You're going to learn a lot." I walked out. They thought they had just won the lottery. They had just signed their own foreclosure notice. If this story is hitting you, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps these stories reach more good people. Comment the word "formormance" if you're still listening. I want to know who stayed. Now watch what happened in just 72 hours. Monday, 9 a.m. The Eastgate Project, our $12 million flagship job. It stopped dead. No concrete trucks, no steel. Workers standing around. Jason called Ben screaming. Ben said, "Kid, my contract is with Frank. Your credit line is closed. Cash on delivery, $400,000 up front." At the same time, our investors got my resignation letter as chief engineer. They immediately issued a stop work notice. No Frank Miller guarantee, no funding. Phones were ringing off the hook. And then, the final gift. Vanessa's collectors found her. They walked right into the lobby of Miller Construction, asking for her by name. In front of the whole staff. She locked herself in her office, shaking. The Queen had no castle. That night, Jason called me, his voice broken. "Dad, please, you have to come back." I said, "I told you, son. A building with a rotten foundation has to fall." Then I hung up and prepared the final documents. I walked into my old boardroom one last time. It was chaos. Papers everywhere. Jason looked like he hadn't slept in days. Vanessa looked pale, her makeup smudged. I placed a stack of papers on the table. "Document 1, I said. Revocation of all intellectual property licenses. Every design, every proprietary building method we use is patented under my name, not the company's. You can no longer legally use them." Document 2. Bank notices. Because you lost the investors and the suppliers, you are in breach of covenant. The loans are due immediately. Total, $1.8 million. Vanessa grabbed the papers. Her hands were shaking. "This is impossible. I own half of this company, half of the assets." I looked at her coldly. "You own half of an empty shell, and you personally guaranteed 100% of the debt. Congratulations, partner." She collapsed. Henry stared at me. "Dad, why?" "Because I love you," I said. "And someone had to show you who she really was." The next morning, exactly as I predicted, Vanessa was gone. She emptied the small operating account, $18,000, and left a divorce paper on Jason's desk. She vanished. That afternoon, my office door opened. Jason walked in. No designer suit, wrinkled shirt, eyes red. He fell to his knees in front of my desk. He sobbed. He said he was sorry, that he was a fool, that he destroyed his mother's legacy. I let him cry for a long time. A father wants to rush to pick up his son. But a builder knows you have to let the cracked concrete fully break before you can pour new. When he was quiet, I opened my drawer and slid one paper toward him. It wasn't a check. It wasn't a rescue plan. It was a job application. Junior Site Assistant, $22 an hour, at Frank Miller Solutions. I said, "You want to rebuild trust? You start at the bottom. You learn to mix concrete again. You learn to respect every man on that site. You earn it." He looked at the paper through tears, and for the first time in a year, I saw my son again. No arrogance, just humility. He signed. It's been a year now. Jason is still with me. He works harder than anyone. He is becoming a man his mother would be proud of. Revenge is not about destroying someone. The best revenge is making sure the people you love finally see the truth. and giving them a chance to rebuild on a stronger foundation. Thanks for listening to Dad's Comeback. If you have your own story, share it below, and I'll see you in the next one.